Let's talk about Jordan Burch because he has been out for several weeks at this point. And have you noticed a big drop off in Oregon's defense? I haven't, which is an incredible thing. And this is not a segment to say I don't think Oregon needs to have Jordan Burch come back or they're just fine without it. They are just fine without him. They're also better with him because anytime you have someone that when he's dialed in and when he's at his best is single-handedly wrecking drives, yeah, that's somebody you want to have on the field. So Michigan, who is not going to have quarterback Jack Tuttle available. Now, he was starting at one point. They've been a revolving door at the quarterback position. They're going to stick with Davis Warren. He started last week against Michigan State. He went for, I think, 132 yards passing, which might have been a season high for Michigan quarterbacks. Legitimately, it could be. They cannot throw the football and complete a forward pass. But when you have a passing game that has struggled that much, you may be wondering, if you haven't watched Michigan this year, how do they score any points? Well, they run the football. They run the football, and they run the football a lot. So if there were one opponent that I'd want Jordan Burch to play against, Michigan would probably be that team. Oregon is a 2-touchdown favorite on the road, should be able to win the football game, should be able to hold Michigan to 10 points or fewer. That gets a lot easier when you take away the rushing attack and make them throw the football. And Mateo Uiagalelei has been awesome this year. So is Tatum Tuioti. Burch, especially when compared to Tuioti, I think is a lot better against the run. And if you take that away from Michigan's offense, there's no counterpunch. They have got one punch and it's solid. It's a good punch. But if you take that away, and I think Burch of those three guys is the most productive and consistent against the run, plus he lines up inside, he lines up outside as well. Like this would be the game because Michigan tries to win in the trenches. So you want to have all your guys available. But as I talked about earlier this week, the recruiting efforts have just been paying off in such a big way. High school portal, Oregon's deep. And that Jordan Burch hasn't been there the last few weeks, and Oregon has still generated quarterback pressures. They have still stopped teams on the ground. They have been causing havoc all over the place, is incredibly impressive. It is incredibly impressive. The depth on this defensive line is crazy. But if there were one game of the 4 left in the regular season, there are only 4 left in the regular season. It's pretty crazy. It's weird to think about. It's Michigan, Maryland, at Wisconsin, bye, and then hosting Washington in rivalry week. I think either. I think this is the game. I think this is the game where I'd most like to have Jordan Burch available. Is he going to be? There's nothing new. He's week to week, could play. I'm sure we'll find out at some point this week. If he does go, I feel even better about Oregon's defense. I still feel really good without him because we'll have watched them play for the last few weeks without him there. So need Jordan Burch? Not necessarily, but would like to have more than any other team that Oregon plays this season. So that's the first thing to talk about here in the second segment. The second thing is Vander Plug. So this is a name that everydayers might be familiar with. He is a tight end prospect in the class of 2025, currently a verbal commit to the University of Washington. Now, I don't know if on-field results are having a direct impact here, but Oregon's 8-0, ranked number 1. Washington's 4-4 and not in the top 25. There have been plenty of other flips, like Oregon flipped Douglas Utu from Tennessee, and Tennessee's doing just fine this year. They've only lost once. They're probably going to be in the college football playoff. But Oregon does not have a tight end commit in the class of 2025. The class is ranked inside the top 10, according to 24/7 Sports, which is what I think is the best metric to evaluate recruiting rankings and the one that I've always used the most consistently. Plug is a guy that would just be a nice, solid pickup. I don't think they have to go for 2 tight ends. I think they've got enough. They could maybe find a guy in the transfer portal, but adding 1 tight end. I mean, we've seen Roger Saliapaga recover a fumble against Ohio State on that squib onside kick situation. And also, when T-Ferg was out against Purdue, Saliapaga was playing when they wanted to put 2 or 3 tight ends on the field regularly. And Patrick Herbert had a really nice game. He probably should have been an individual standout from the Illinois game. Patrick Herbert, that is. But like Saliapaga has played a role. And so you're losing Patrick Herbert and you're losing Terrence Ferguson after this year. You'd probably like to add a true freshman tight end. true freshman tight ends have played each of the last 3 seasons, including this one for the Ducks. Each of the last 4 seasons, as a matter of fact. Monteval and Tieferg both played in 2021 against Ohio State. And in 2022, was there a true freshman tight end in 2022? Might have to think on that one. But in 2023, Kenyon Sadiq played, and Roger Saliapaga has played this year. I feel like I'm missing something. No, because Sadiq was a true freshman last year. Yeah. Anyway, it's a position where true freshmen have played, and they're not always the easiest guys to find in the transfer portal. There just aren't that many tight ends that move around. It happens. But I think Oregon is going after Vanderplug, and there's a prediction from, I think, Steve Wiltfong over at On3 for Oregon to flip him. Just keep an eye. Just keep an eye on that one, because I think that'd be a really solid addition. Not ground-altering for the 2025 class, but just positionally, I think it'd be a really, really nice pickup. So, final part of this second segment was a mailbag question from Tyler, which you can always ask YouTube comments, X, formerly known as Twitter, at @SMcLaughlinCFB or at Locked On Ducks, or become a Locked On Ducks insider. You can get a free 14-day trial with that link in the description below. You get priority access and lots of other perks as well. Tyler asks where Dillon Gabriel could go in the 2025 NFL Draft. Well, that depends on how the season goes. If Oregon plays in a college football playoff semifinal game or the national championship game, yeah, your draft stock will go up. Dillon Gabriel's not a big guy. And you can be an incredibly good, incredibly productive quarterback in college, and the NFL might still not like you. I have a hard time seeing some of the quarterbacks that do make their way onto NFL rosters thinking Gabriel can at least be on a practice squad, if not just a backup quarterback. Like, Russell Wilson's in the league. Kyler Murray's in the league. He's not as good of an athlete as Kyler Murray. No one's as good of an athlete as Kyler Murray, except for Lamar Jackson, quite frankly. But he doesn't have huge NFL prospects. But if you play as well as he is 76% completion right now. If he ends the year with a plus 70% completion rate, and he's playing for a team that contends for a national championship, that's got to up your draft stock at least a little bit, to where someone would take a 5th, 6th, or 7th round flyer on him at the very least. But his height is going to be what holds him back from having an opportunity, initially at least, to play in the NFL. He go prove him wrong. I mean, we've seen how accurate he can be. We've seen that he's got a good arm. I don't think he has a great arm by NFL standards, but he has a good arm. He is mobile. Maybe he can make it work. But based on what I've seen in the NFL, I'd say that Gabriel is capable of getting onto a team. Cannot see him getting taken higher than the 4th round. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that, because there is something to the momentum that can be built when you're the quarterback of a college team that ends up having a lot of success. But he'll not get taken 12th overall like our guy Bo Nix, who is thriving in Denver. I feel so good about that because, number one, I love Bo and want to see him succeed. And number two, I had a segment on this very show in the spring that said the Denver Broncos are a perfect fit for Bo Nix. He's 5-3. He's 5-3, and I think he just went for 286 and a couple of touchdowns. He's run for touchdown. Like, he and Sean Payton, it's a match made in heaven. Thought it might be. But for Gabriel, as we all know, he's focused on one thing, and that's winning football games. And I'm here for it.